Hello and welcome to another Pie and Smith production. It is semi-finals day on this Saturday, the 2nd of January. In any normal year, the PDC World Champion would probably have been crowned by now on New Year's Day, but not in 2021. It's semi-finals day today and the final will take place on Sunday. On quarterfinals day, a brilliant quarterfinals day, the headline is Michael van Gerwen is gone. The favourite, the odds-on favourite, the three-time world champion is gone. Dave Chisnall battered him 5-0 in a sensational performance which the Pieman will no doubt cover in depth. The four players left, we've got Gerwen Price at 6-4 favourite. Dave Chisnall's just over 2-1. Gary Anderson's 2.5-1, and Stephen Bunting is the outsider of the field at 10-1, a position that is quite enjoying being the outsider of the field. So, yeah, plenty to look forward to and look back on. And I'll hand you over to the main man, Matt Pieman Hill.
Yeah, cheers, Adam. Well, what a day yesterday. We kind of anticipated that all the way back in early December, we kind of said if Van Gerwen is going to go, it might be the quarterfinals, but not quite as we planned it, to be honest. We thought that Dimitri Van den Berg would be there. Dave Chisnall, obviously doing a job on Dimitri. We questioned whether he would be able to repeat that against MVG. Boy, did he repeat that. One of the all-time great performances from Dave Chisnall last night, but something we'll come on to in more detail because Dave's in the second semi-final this evening. We'll start with the first one, which involves Stephen Bunting and Gerwen Price. And can I just say, before we go any further, I don't think anyone could realistically begrudge any of these four men the title. They've all done it in their own way. They've all had great stories and had to get there in different styles and different routes. As I was saying to yourself yesterday, Adam, you've kind of got the favourite now in Gerwen Price, a man that was talked up before the tournament, but he's really had to do it the hard way. And in this game, he plays the outsider of the field, the dark horse, who's still there, and he's been a dark horse all the way through. And he probably hasn't had too much said about him, Stephen Bunting, because everyone just kind of expected him to go out at some stage. No one knew exactly when. It wasn't that he wasn't playing well or he was doing anything particularly wrong, but it's Stephen Bunting. He's been bang out of form for years. He's a 400-1 chance coming into this tournament. So as a result, he's kind of crept under the radar. He continues to creep under the radar. And I did say yesterday, in a rare success on this video, that as I went through all four winners in completely unprecedented scenes, Stephen Bunting could be an interesting pick at 33-40-1 to win this tournament because I thought he might get past Ratajski. And he remains a 10-11-1 outsider in this field. Now, I personally feel that's a bit disrespectful for the performances he's been putting in, Stephen Bunting. I get he's not a fashionable selection, but if you're going on the pure numbers, he's been very impressive. And he seems to be getting better and better as well. His confidence is sky high. And he'll take on someone here in Gerwen Price, who has really done it in an opposite fashion to anyone else left in this tournament. He's had to scrap. His game isn't really there, full firing. He's been very reliant on his tops finishing. His doubling has got him out of jail on a number of occasions. And he's also benefited from 2 or 3 opponents getting into really good positions and then not quite getting over the line. I don't think you could accuse Daryl Gurney of bottling it in any way. I mean, he averaged 105 in the last set. He didn't do a lot wrong. Price had the throw. Gurney held throw twice. He maybe had a little bit of a dip on one of the two Price legs where he could have maybe stepped in and won the match. Couldn't quite do that. Forced the deciding leg. Gerwen Price, we know, has been there already this tournament against Brendan Dolan. And sure enough, Gurney got himself down to, I think it was 108, but couldn't find a treble 19, which would have given him a double for the match. So we'll never know whether he would have held his bottle together for that double. Sure enough, Gerwin Price stepped back and finished it swiftly and effectively, as he's done all tournament. When the big question is asked to Gerwin Price, he generally has the answer. But yeah, Stephen Bunting has been put in for this game at quite a significant outsider. I believe he's a best price of 11-4 to win this match. That seems too big to me. It really does. He really dismissed Krzysztof Ratajski, who was undoubtedly suffering with nerves again. We said in the video yesterday he may have nerves. He had nerves against Gabriel Clemens. Big moment in Ratajski's career. He didn't bring his best darts, but equally, just when he looked like he was maybe getting back into that quarterfinal yesterday, Stephen Bunting slammed the door shut on him. Very impressive. His 180 game seems to be there as good as anyone, maybe bar Dave Chisnall. So he's not going to be intimidated in the scoring stakes. Gerwen Price, on the other hand, I feel like his scoring's been really subpar in this tournament. And as I say, he's been very reliant on his finishing. So a lot of this does depend on, as we usually say in these videos, the favourite, whether Gerwen Price will turn up and improve. I think he has to at least maintain the level he had against Daryl Gurney, if not go on again, to be honest, because Bunting, it's a bit of a free hit for him. He's the underdog again. No one fancies him. You know what he's going to do? He's going to turn up. He's going to play well, score well, double well. He's confident. He won't mind being an underdog. And I think Stephen Bunting will make a serious game of this. And I'm inclined to say he might cause another shock.
Well, I've got a way to stop Stephen Bunting winning, and that's for just me to say that he will win, and that'll make sure that he stops winning. Because for the first time this tournament, I said that Christopher Ratajski would win. He comes out and plays under par, loses 5-3, could have been 5-2 or even 5-1. I said Simon Whitlock was going to win earlier in the tournament. He got bashed 4-0. I said Jose De Souza was going to beat Merv King. He got bashed 4-0. So, I mean, I even gave Dirk a chance yesterday, and he played poorly by his standards and got absolutely whacked 5-1. So, yeah, if I pick Stephen Bunting, at least I'll get my Gerwin Price to the final. But no, in all seriousness, I'm on Gerwin Price, as you know, and today I will be trading out on Gerwin Price. I will be laying some Gerwin Price, because it would be just my luck for the second favourite, who's been second favourite for a long time, in Gerwin Price, for the strong favourite Van Gerwen, to go out and Price still not win, which could easily happen in this tournament. And there's 4 players left. You could say that Gerwin Price is in the worst form of the 4 relative to their best form. Chisnall obviously is in form. Stephen Bunting obviously is in form. Gary Anderson, he's getting towards that. Gerwin Price, it hasn't been comfortable with his game. He's had 4 matches at this tournament. 3 of them have gone to a final set. 2 of them have gone to a final leg. So, I mean, credit for getting through that. And last night, it was kind of weird, really. He went 2-0 up, 4-2 up, and then it went to 4-all. And I was actually, even though I've been on a terrible run, and I do often put the doubters on my betting, I was actually quite confident he would win that final leg, and he did. And I didn't really have a reaction. I just was pretty quiet, really. I was just quietly confident he would do it. But yeah, like you say, Pieman, he's a odds-on favourite here, 100 to 30 on Gerwin Price, and Bunting's 5-2. I think of the 2 games today, I think Bunting probably does represent the best value, and I'm not saying that just because he's the biggest price. Don't get me wrong. I think that Gerwin Price at 100 to 30 on is probably too short. To be honest with you, the other games are pretty much a coin toss, which we'll come on to. So, yeah, I mean, like I say, I'd be hoping that Gerwin Price can win, but I think Bunting is so comfortable with his game. He's 140 and 180, and he's brilliant. He's throwing straighter than anyone else. He's throwing straighter than Dave Chisnall. I know Chisnall is whacking in 180s, but he's sometimes going in the 1 or the 5. Bunting's not really doing that. I think he's been excellent, and that performance yesterday, averaging 101 over 8 sets, is nothing to be sniffed at whatsoever. That was a really, really, really good performance. And he's getting to the stage now where, I know I said yesterday that his run will be coming to an end, and I can see him getting beat. Stephen Bunting deserves to be where he is. He's played every game. He's played every game well to his standards. He's had some tough games, but I wouldn't say he's been lucky. I mean, Gerwin Price could easily be out of this competition, easily. So, Stephen Bunting deserves where he is, and good luck to him. I just hope that he doesn't beat my man Gerwin Price today.
Yeah, just to give a little bit more context before we move on to that Stephen Bunting Price. When we say he's 11-4, he's the best value. Like you say, it's not just because he's a big price and he might win. Obviously, he's in the semi-final, he might win, but I just feel like he's been marked up. That if you saw a game, I'm trying to think of another game in this tournament where you would have seen that similar kind of price line. Well, I mean, Chizzy wasn't too far off that price to beat MVG. To be honest, he was a little bit bigger, but obviously you've got to factor in the Van Gerwen factor and all that into that. But it just shows that it can be done. It's not been like he's put up like a 6-1 outsider who's going to have the game of his life. He could genuinely win this game and definitely make a game of it. And I would be more surprised if he didn't make a close game of this. So for me, the even money about Stephen Bunting to win 3 sets or 4 sets in this game, sorry, because it's best of 6, but you can get him with a 2.5 head start at even money. I think that's a very, very fair price. I really do think Stephen Bunting can get this done, but look, you might be better taking the handicap, because look at Gerwen Price in these last set deciders in this tournament. He finds a way. you know how much he wants this title and this world #1 spot. He'll never get a better chance because Van Gerwen's out. So even not playing very well, he'll have a good chance in the final if he gets through. So yeah, look, Stephen Bunting is the value, I think, but wouldn't be a great surprise if Gerwin does him. If I was going for a score, well, I'm gonna stick with Stephen Bunting. I really do think he's got a real chance here. I've got to go 6-4. I think Gerwen Price needs to lift his game.
Yep, 6-4 is 11-1 for Bunting, 6-5 to Price. So another final set deciders, 13-2 for Price, 10-1 the Bunting. So moving on to the second semi-final, Dave Chisnall, who averaged 107 yesterday in battering Michael van Gerwen 5-0. Incredible performance from Chizzy. We were just saying we're hoping, and we wasn't doubting, we wasn't putting shade on him. We was just saying we're hoping and we're praying that he can repeat his form of the Vandenberg game, as I said at the top of the hour, and he did it. It was superb. He was absolutely brilliant. Van Gerwen, he just never let Van Gerwen have a minute. I think Mardle said that in commentary. He never let Van Gerwen feel comfortable or set in the game. And that's not because of Van Gerwen. That's not Van Gerwen's fault. That's Dave Chisnall's fault. He's come out the blocks excellent. He's had a fast start again. Yeah, and he's won 5-0. I mean, and there's only 2 of those 5 sets went to a last leg decider. He was absolutely dominating Michael van Gerwen, scoring, finishing, brilliant. I don't think there's a negative I could find in the performance from Chizzy, to be honest. And confidence is obviously there now. The difference going forward is that there's going to be a bit of pressure on him now, because he's now the favourite to beat Gary Anderson, and he could well be the favourite in the final, depending on how performances go. Gary came past Dirk Van Dijvenbode 5-1. Big Dirk was disappointing, really. Won the first set, and then he never looked in it after that, to be honest. Gary won 5 sets on the spin. I think he won 8 legs on the spin at one stage. It was a bit of a practice session for Gary, really, in the end. And yeah, it's a close game. Anderson's even money. Chisnall's 4-5. What do you make of it, Pieman?
Well, I mean, Dave Chisnall, as we've already touched on a little bit, he's continuing to. He backed up his performance, which is something that we question, and I think a lot of people question. Like, come on, let's be honest. There's a lot of question marks over pretty much everyone in the field here, and yet going into the Michael van Gerwen game, you could get Dave Chisnall at 16-1 to win this tournament. And I think everyone knew if he replicated his performance against Dimitri that he would have a real chance. And sure enough, even when the market kind of corrected itself, it still had Chizzy a little bit bigger than what he is now. So it corrected itself, probably based on, a lot of these markets still have rough prices already ready for if the favourite goes out, in the same way that in a horse race, if the favourite is pulled out, the market's already to kind of be corrected. But they corrected that market based on, MVG's gone. And then people have gone and had a second look at it and gone, well, Chizzy should be shorter. He's playing better than any of the other 3 players. So sure enough, Chizzy's been nibbled in. He's second favourite. Making Gary Anderson an outside of this match. I was really impressed with Gary Anderson yesterday. Ominous is a word that we used for Michael van Gerwen in the early rounds, but this was ominous from, let's not forget, a multiple PDC World Championship winner. The only one remaining in the field. I know Stephen Bunting has won the BDO, but if experience counts for anything, then Gary is the man to be with. And he's played it coy with all this looking forward to next year. I'm not really bothered about this year, and he's still here. Is he going to be saying that in his post-match interview when he's got the title in his hand? Because I wouldn't be surprised. It would be classic Gary. I said yesterday that spat he had with Wayne Mardle and Rod Harrington, that might just be what he needs to fire him up and play someone like Dirk. Just, he's got this ego, Gary Anderson, and it showed yesterday. He came out after his interview and said, that fired me up. Cheers, Rod Harrington and Wayne Mardle, you fired me up. That's what I needed. And he is. He's one of these, he's like if you were comparing him to a racehorse, sometimes you've got to get him off the bridle to see the best out of him. He's not just going to cruise into the lead. And he is fired up now. He was asked a good question yesterday. Is it, can you remain fired up for the rest of this tournament, or was it just a one-off performance? And he said, I don't know. Uh-huh. So yeah, it remains to be seen whether he can replicate this, but he will realise what a great opportunity this is. Gary Anderson, very complimentary of Dave Chisnall in his interview, actually said before the matches yesterday, if I could pick one person to win it in this field, it'd be Chizzy, because he's such a good player. He's given so much to darts. He's been so unlucky in the big events. So this will be a nice game. And I think that suits Gary Anderson more than it suits Dave Chisnall, to be honest, because Chizzy has come into, as you quite rightly point out, came into Dimitri Vandenberg as an underdog, unfancied, and shut a few people up and enjoyed doing that. Said it in his interview. I couldn't believe I was an outsider. I fancied myself. Then he come in as an underdog against MVG, shut a few people up. Well, now he'll come on. Gary Anderson will be smiling, giving him a handshake. They'll be having a chat before the match. Suddenly it becomes very friendly. But Gary Anderson is one of the best around at coming in all smiles, like he did with Devon Peterson. Oh, Devon's a nice guy. I like Devon. Comes in, washes him 4-0. Brutal performance. Not his best level, but in terms of a performance and just boxing someone off, quality. Did it to Jerk again yesterday. 1-1, you're thinking, this is going to be a good game. This is 5-4 either way. Just went up a gear, brushed him aside. And he's starting to look more like the Gary Anderson that won a couple of titles. And it's just such an interesting game, this, because if Chizzy, again, replicates it, I'm not as worried now about him replicating this form, because I think that's a big mental barrier he's got over last night in beating Van Gerwen. Yeah. And let's be honest, the Van Gerwen game could have turned. There was a few moments where it could have turned. Set 2, set 3, both went last leg deciders. If either then goes with MVG, you've got this problem where Chizzy's lost to him loads of times in the past. He's playing the best darts he's ever played, and yet it's 2-1. And you're thinking, well, I'm falling short again. 3-0, you think, God, I'm just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm in here. There was a period where MVG hit a 150 checkout in the middle of a set, and that felt like it could have been a turning point, but Dave slammed the door in his face. There was arguably the best leg of all time where they both went off 180. Then Chizzy went 180, MVG went 140. Chizzy wired the 12, pulled the 12 for a 9-darter. MVG then came in, and in what I can only describe as showmanship or mind games, whatever it was, he just decided he was going to take out the 141, even though he wasn't on it. Treble 20, treble 19, double 12 to leave tops. Chizzy kind of had a moment, looked at the board, thought, what the hell's gone on there,
Well, when Van Gerwen did that and he was going towards Chisnall, he tried to smirk to Chisnall.
Yeah, tried to
look through him or look past him. But Chisnall knew what was going on. I mean, that leg was perfect. The commentary was perfect. I know it was. I wouldn't call John Port or Wayne Mardle a lead commentator, either of them. They certainly didn't start out that way, but they do work really well together. And when
Sky have stumbled onto something good putting them two together, haven't they?
And when John Port said, we've had a faux 9-darter because Mardle called one wrong earlier, when Chisnall actually did it 141, but not on a 9, and now we've had a no 9-darter, I thought that was excellent. Then Van Gerwen came and did a 141, which we've seen him try or do before. He did it last year against Labanowskis under different circumstances. I thought it was out of order that time. But last night, I thought was brilliant. It was the best, easily the best leg. And what I would say about Van Gerwen, I know many people say this, but gracious in defeat again. On stage, gracious in defeat.
I was going to say, I'm pleased you brought that up.
Interviews after gracious in defeat. So, fair play.
You know what? Van Gerwen got a bit of stick early in his career for being kind of brash and very arrogant when he won and talking about how he believed he was the best. But the man's just, as you see more and more of him, you realise he's just a very confident guy who is the best at what he does, generally speaking. And he knows that, and he believes in himself. He talks himself up, but that is his hardest moment. He's waited all year for that. He's had the performance of a lifetime put in to knock him out. He's been under par. He must be devastated to come out and do that interview and show the class that he did. I thought was really special, to be honest. And I just found myself in awe of him, really, to be able to come out and speak like that after what must be a terrible, terrible disappointment for him. So, yeah, fair play to MVG there. And we won't go on too much longer about Chisnall Anderson, but I do think that this match could be won and lost on the 180s. As Gary said, his 180s aren't quite there. He kind of said every other fragment of my game is there. It's hard to see how Dave Chisnall won't turn up and pile in a load of 180s. He just seems really at ease with his scoring game. He's not thinking about it. He's not shuffling across the hockey as much as he normally does. When he does shuffle across the hockey, he's finding the gap. You know what I mean? Like if he's got a blocked I mean, a bit of a different issue when he's going 20 double top, where he always seems to dart himself, Dave Chisnall. But that's another issue. I mean, if he needs to find a treble to make it a 140 and he has to shuffle across, he seems to ram it in the tiny little gap. He's so at ease with his T20 hitting. It's hard to see how he won't do another, I think his line's 14 or 15, is it, Adam?
14.
Yeah. I expect him to cover that line again, providing this game goes, sort of 8 or 9 sets. And Gary, he's openly said, my 180 game isn't there yet. Everything else is. And that could be the difference over this kind of length of format, because Chizzy's going to grind out more chances than Gary purely through his 180 hitting. So, yeah, I don't know. As I say, the mind games is Anderson's best hope. He'll try and make this a friendly affair. He'll try and relax Dave Chisnall almost into a state of mind where he doesn't mind losing to Gary because he's a nice guy. He's good at it, Gary. He'll talk Chizzy up all day, and he'll probably have a friendly word with him and wish him good luck and stuff. Whereas MVG and Dimitri, there wouldn't have been any conversations before those games. Totally focused on the game. Gary, best mate, best buds. He'll try it all, but I do think Chizzy gets the job done here, to be honest. I think Gary will give it a good go, but I'm going to go 6-4 Chizzy.
6-4 Chizzy is 6-1. 6-0 Chizzy. If you want another Chizzy whitewash, is 22-1. There'll be no prediction from me really on this. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy. I've got no financial interest in this one. I have in Gerwen Price, so I'll be cheering on Gerwen Price. And yeah, my selections really tend to be absolutely rubbish. Although yesterday, on the correct score, Lucky 15, out of Pieman and myself, I was the only one who put up a single winner. We did not return a profit. I did not return a profit, obviously, but Gerwin Price 154. But Pieman, there was 4 games yesterday, and he called the winner of each one. And I think the ACCA was about 30-1 just for the win-only market. So Pieman is on form.
You had 2 favourites with Gary and Gerwin. Yep. And then, Bunting and Chizzy were both outsiders. Lively outsiders, yeah. But, as I said today, we'll be going with Bunting. Just at the prices, I think he's got a chance. Narrow Bunting victory. And I think Chizzy will grind it out against Gary. But, look, you couldn't be surprised if these games go either way. We're at the semi-stage. 4 players, all in reasonable form. All have got this far. So, let's just sit back and enjoy it. And we'll be back for the final tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's semi-finals day today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back for the final preview tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.